Nepotism. Can't talk. Nepotism. Yeah, it's family, working for family. Myself and my brother Dave did work for Pulte, master builder. We worked great together. Never had any issues. Sometimes Dave would slack off, and I'd have to chew his ass out. He was 5 years older than me, so he's my older brother. But we worked perfectly fine together. There were no arguments. You know, I knew what I was getting paid. He knew what he was getting paid. We knew what we can pay the employees. And literally, there was, there was no issue. There's families that run places down in Detroit, distribution warehouse for auto parts. The whole family works there. They all get along. She gets along with her dad gets along with her, mom, all of them. So there are examples where nepotism works perfectly fine. Then there's examples where they don't. If you ever watched like Bar Rescue, and Gordon Ramsay has a news show, Secret Service is his news show, and sometimes families can't work together. But business is business, okay? And if you own a business and you have family members working there, they all know. If it's working good, they all know business is business, family is family. When you're at work, that's business. Anyway, I hired against my better judgment, I hired a outlaw in the family to, his in-laws and outlaws. Anyway, I hired him to clean the Chinese church. And he had already told me that when he was at the school, he would go home for lunch and spend more time there, do stuff around the house when he was supposed to be working, and he didn't do everything he was supposed to. So I already knew that going in, So I thought, well, I'll give him a chance, So anyway, I asked him if he wanted to. I says it pays $200 a month, and I says it'll take about 2 hours to do between 2 and 3 hours. So he said, yeah. So before he even started, he wanted a raise. And I'm like, I'm not giving you a raise. Then about a week or two after he started, well, I want a raise. I'm like, I'm not giving you a raise. So if you look at the time frame, okay, because it's a flat monthly fee of well, then I did give him a raise of $25. So I was paying him $2.25 a month, and it's only done once a week. So when you multiply the $2.25 by how many months divided by weeks divided by hours, if he was there 3 hours, he would have been making $17.36 an hour. If he was there 3 hours, I told him, I said it'll take between 2 and 3 hours. Wintertime, 3 hours. Summertime, it won't take as long because you're not dragging all the salt in and the snow and the slush from the parking lot and everything. So I said it'll take you 2 hours. And at 2 hours, that's what, $26.96 an hour or whatever. So anyway, kept getting complaints. So I told him, whenever I said something about the complaints, I said business is business. I said you didn't do this or you didn't do that, or there's a complaint about this. And I honestly thought the church was full of, the new girl took over. I thought she was nitpicking. Turns out she wasn't. So anyway, the minister, over 20 years of doing that church, and the minister had a problem. 20 years, never a complaint. So anyway, especially when the floor still had salt on them from when he supposedly mopped, that's a shitty job. So I told him, I says, you can't be doing it. I says, you can't be cutting corners. I says, do the job, do it right. And I says, this is business. And I says, and each time there was a problem, I told him, business is business. Family's family. So anyway, I'm going to put you down, sweetie. So anyway, finally reached a point. I went down there to burnish the floors, and it's like, okay. I asked the secretary there. I says, when he comes to clean, I says, how long is he here? She said, about an hour and a half. She said, an hour and a half. So I'm like, okay. And that kind of pissed me off, because he's supposed to be there a minimum of 2 hours. Okay, even hustling, it would take him 2 hours, just like me. If you hustle, you can get it done in 2 hours, no problem. But you got to mop. So I'm like, okay. So then I texted him, and I says, how, keep in mind, he had already previously told me when I questioned him about his poor cleaning habits there, that he said he was there 2 hours. I'm like, okay, that's about right. So then he knew I talked to the secretary, and I says, how long are you here? He goes, oh, about an hour, 25 minutes, hour and a half. So he was getting $34 an hour if he was only there an hour and a half. And he still was doing a shitty job. Whether he was family or not, doesn't matter. Business is business. So I told him, and I says, no. And I says, when was the last time you mopped the upstairs? It's a lunch area. Didn't answer me. So I knew it had been a while. I mopped part of the floor, the water was black. Changed the water, mopped part of the floor, black. 3 times I had to change the water. 2 or 3 times I changed the water was black. So you could know that area hadn't been mopped in years. And whether he was trying to take advantage, figure, well, it's family. So I called him out on it. So then I said, business is business. And he got pissed. And I'm like, okay, I didn't say you were doing a shitty job. I didn't get nasty. I just says, you're getting $34 an hour if you're only there an hour and a half. And I says, you're doing a poor job. I says, you're not doing stuff that needs to get done. I says, you're not mopping. So I didn't get nasty. So he got pissed. Well, it's a fine way to treat family. And I said, business is business, not family. So then he texted me back and he goes, fuck you, Tom. So I'm like, where in the hell did that come from? And everybody always had to baby this guy. Oh, he's got MBS and ADHD, so you got to treat him. No. You don't treat somebody different. Look at the greeters that greet people at Walmart. How handicapped some of those people are. And anyway, I talked to 2 professionals in the psych field at the VA, and both of them said that ADHD would not make him do a poorer job. You might forget to do something, like if you're doing trash, then all of a sudden you get distracted, you may not get the rest of the trash cans. They says that'll happen. Stuff like that. But it's not going to have you do a bad job. So his work ethic was very poor. But I knew that when I hired him, because of what he told me at the school. So anyway, he started getting nasty, and I'm like, you're making it personal. And so I said, you're done. That's it, you're done. And I was going to wait and give him, let him finish out the month. So, being nice, I was going to pay him $175 for that month. He didn't complete the month, but I was going to go ahead and pay him $175. So then he's texting me. Well, then he also said he wanted a raise. He's, I've been doing it for almost a year and I haven't gotten a raise. You're not even doing a good job and you want a raise? That's how can you justify a raise when you're doing a poor job? And but anyway, he got all pissy and stuff. And, so I fired him right then. And business is business. I forgot something else I was saying. Old fart. But anyway, so I had no choice. And then he made it personal, taking shots at me, telling me to go, fuck you, Tom. And I'm like, well, is that supposed to upset me? I've been called everything in the book. But anyway, point being, sometimes it works, having family members work for you, and then other times it doesn't. And I didn't think he would last as long as he did, to be honest with you. But when the minister called and complained, I'm like, that's it. That's just too much. And I said something to him, and I gave him another 2 months, basically, to straighten out. And he didn't. So anyway, I was going to pay him $175 to complete the month, or for the month, even though he didn't clean it for each time. So he texted me. He says, well, if I'm getting $34 an hour, he says, you owe me $103. And he says, are you going to pay me? And I says, I always pay my workers, my employees, always have. You never cheat them. But anyway, so I did. So he says, you owe me $103. So he screwed himself out of money because I was going to pay him $175. Instead, he said, oh, you owe me $103. So anyway, but everybody was everybody at the family side, that family side, were like, oh, you got to, because he's got MBS and ADHD. I don't care if he has mama's boy syndrome, attention deficit disorder. I don't care. You're hired to do a job, you do a job. Period. And then when he made it personal, I was like, okay, you want to make it personal? Let's go there. But that's a whole other thing. But anyway, I'm just saying that sometimes families do work together. Me and my brother Dave work really good together. And then times where they don't, they take advantage. But can you imagine wanting more than $34 an hour to clean a building? No heavy lifting, it's a church. So $34 an hour wasn't enough for him to clean. He wanted more money than that to do a bad job. That's not how life works. So anyway, if you want to subscribe, it'll be in the bottom right hand corner. Smash the thumbs up. Anyways, videos for everybody, something for everybody. There's gaming and bees and all kinds of other product reviews and stuff. But anyway, thanks for watching.